Aloha and welcome to iTeach808, Empowering Hawaii's Teachers in Technology Conference, sponsored by the Augustine Educational Foundation and Sacred Hearts Academy, Honolulu. My name is Mana, and I'll be facilitating this session. We're so honored to have Caitlin Ramirez join us today and share her expertise through a 45-minute presentation named YouTube for Readers. Please be aware that we'll be recording this session. If you don't like being recorded, you may consider turning off your camera during the session or reviewing the recording afterwards. The recording will be made available on YouTube and shared on iTeach808's website a week after this event. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Caitlin Ramirez.
Aloha, everybody, and thank you for that kind introduction. So we're going to jump right in. And I'd like to introduce myself. I'm the school librarian at Mokapu Elementary School, which is on Oahu on the windward side on the Marine Corps base, but it is a DOE school. And I wanted to tell my story in terms of libraries. So these are 4 libraries that have really been special places for me at different parts of my life. So the first library on the top left-hand corner is called Belding Memorial Library. And that is a beautiful little Carnegie library that is located in the town of Ashfield, Massachusetts. It's a tiny, very rural town. And I lived about 2 blocks away from this growing up, and I would walk there by myself on Wednesdays and Saturdays and go sit in the left side of the building was the kids and young adult area, and it was just about my favorite place in the whole world. I've been a reader since I could read, and at that library I started out with Cherry Ames books and Nancy Drew books, and read myself just about through every volume they had there. The next library on the top right-hand corner is from Umass, Amherst. That's the W.E.B. Dubois Library at Umass, Amherst. And a fun fact about that library is that when they were designing it, they calculated the weight of the building, but they did not calculate the weight of the books. So once they had all of the books into the building started popping out bricks from the sides. And so there's a fence around it so that you don't get too close and accidentally get hit by a falling brick. But I spent a lot of time as an undergraduate in that library. I got my degree in English from Umass Amherst. Fast forward to about 10 years ago, the library on the bottom left side is the Hamilton Library at UH Manoa, and perhaps some of you recognize it. I attended the School of Library and Information Science at UH Manoa and got my degree, my master's in Library and Information Science from that program. And I just have a real fondness for that library because the program there is so wonderful and is just such a great blessing to our community. And then on the bottom right, you will see the library that I currently occupy as a librarian at Mokapu Elementary School. I love to be there. It is my favorite place right now, is in that library with my students promoting reading. So I have a great privilege at my school. At a lot of schools, librarians have to wear a lot of different hats. But at my school, I am sort of in the unique position of really being like the reading champion of our school. And not only the reading champion, but really the independent and reading for pleasure champion at my school. I really want my students to have a robust reading practice that brings them joy and that opens their world and helps them connect and learn about the experiences in the world around them. So this presentation is really designed for those of you who really want to support readers and want to build your own robust reading practice and incorporate digital tools to help support that reading practice. So I do like my presentations to be a little bit interactive, so I hope you'll bear with me on that. If you don't mind, Would you please, in the chat box, go ahead and introduce yourself? I'd like to know a little bit about who's in the room. You could share what school you're at, what subject or grade you teach, and also what are you reading right now, or maybe what do you like to read? For me right now, I love to read historical fiction, and I also love to read mysteries. I am working on a series called the Maggie Hope series, which is both historical fiction. It's set during World War II, and it is also a mystery series that follows a spy who works for Churchill named Maggie Hope. So go ahead in the chat box and introduce yourself. I will give you 1 minute to do that, and I'm going to set my clock right now. Go ahead. All right, we're starting to hear from folks. We have Hanalei school teacher. No, Hanalani, sorry, I read that wrong. Hanalani school, all subjects, 2nd grade. Elise is a special education teacher. She likes to read fiction, anything that looks interesting. Thank you, Elise. Ululani, preschool, the grade 6 counselor, reads, and she teaches wellness and mindfulness. We have an assets teacher with us, likes to read, is reading Crime by Trevor Noah. Awesome. Born a Crime. Okay, we've got some early educators, early childhood educators from Mary Star of the Sea. We've got fiction and nonfiction readers. Okay, Eric Carle books. Those are really wonderful classics. All right. Well, thank you for introducing yourselves. I appreciate that. It's nice to know who's in the room and to know what you guys are reading. I also would like you just to type in, and I'm going to give you another minute to do this. I'm curious to know if you use YouTube with your readers right now, and if so, how do you use it? And I'm going to give you another minute to type that into the chat box. Okay, great. Storyline Online. That is actually the very first thing on my list. I love it. I'm glad you're using it already. That's great. I have some really great other read aloud sites for you as well, or channels. Math content skill introduction. Okay. Finding chapters that other teachers have read out loud as an audiobook accommodation. Okay, great. Yeah, definitely there are books that are read out loud, chapter books that are read out loud on YouTube. That is a great source for that kind of resource. Anybody else? I'm going to give 10 more seconds and then I will move on. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. Thank you for sharing how you're using YouTube at the moment. So I'm going to break up this introduction into, break up the presentation into chunks of different types of resources. So the first chunk of resources that I'm going to share with you are read alouds. And of course, so I love to use read alouds with my own children. I have 2 children, a grade 4 student and also a 1st grade student. And I like to read to them, but let's be honest, at the end of the day, I'm also pretty tired and it's really nice to put on a read aloud and get to be on the same side of the book as my kids listening to it. And I do this in the classroom as well. If I don't have a copy of a book that I want to use with my students, going to a read aloud channel on YouTube can help me find those books that I want to use. And then also the read alouds offer a much wider range of readers than just me. So, I can share with my student read alouds, and I love to do that, but then they only see me, like a Caucasian woman reading, and they only hear my voice reading to them. But when you access these read aloud channels, there is a wide range of readers that your students will be exposed to. They'll see all kinds of people from different cultures reading out loud. They can hear different accents. They can see professional performers doing voices. And so these read alouds can really expose your students to like a much richer understanding of what a picture book sounds like from, all these different readers. So my first favorite channel for read alouds is Storyline Online. And this comes to us from the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, which is a professional actors group, and it features American actors choosing picture books that they love and reading them out loud. The books are also slightly animated. So it's not like they're turning the book into a cartoon, but they are animating elements of it, which adds to the level of sort of engagement, and also will help your readers understand that books sort of come to life in the reader's head and with the help of the author and the illustrator. The performances on Storyline Online are just fantastic. And again, you can see that there is a diversity of readers in terms of age, in terms of gender and race. And it's really nice to be able to access readers from all those different walks of life. So the next read aloud channel I want to share with you, this is a new one to me. It is somewhat limited. There aren't a lot of books on this channel, but they're very high quality, and it does showcase a group of books and a group of readers that you may be looking for in your community. So this is Netflix Junior Celebrating Black Voices, and it features all African-American readers reading books that focus on African-American characters and their experiences. Some of them are very explicitly about race, but then some of them are not about race necessarily at all. So for example, one of my personal favorites is the ballerina presenting her book Firebird, and that's just a fantastic book, and it's great for readers, of any kind who, love ballet and love dance. And the illustrations are fabulous in that one as well. So this is a channel that doesn't offer a lot of books, but it sort of fits into a unique niche. The third read aloud channel I want to share with you is called CBeebies, and it comes to us from BBC, which of course is the British equivalent of the National Public Radio. So BBC is a British broadcasting company, and they produce lots of different content, but one of them are these bedtime stories. And the equivalent is probably the Storyline Online. So basically this is British actors and actors from England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales reading children books, and they're professionally done, very high quality. And if you like accents and stuff like that, that can be a fun added feature to this, is enjoying all the different accents. These are books, some of them might be familiar to you, but some of them might be new because they're published in England, and they don't always get published here as well. So you might find books here that are new or unfamiliar to you and to your readers, and that you might enjoy. The next read aloud channel I want to focus on is Brightly Storytime, and this is a partner with Penguin Random House Publishers, and it's very extensive. So this is a really great channel because they just have a ton of content on there. There are a lot of read alouds by the woman, Miss Linda, who you see in the front top center. There are also flip alongs, and what a flip along is the camera shows the book itself, and then it turns the pages of the book and you read along, and somebody reads it out loud. And so it's kind of nice as an alternative is to see the actual pages of the book. So that's one of their types of content. You'll also find on here videos that are books read by the author. So in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see John Cena, who's I think a wrestler, and he wrote a series called Elbow Grease. And he, as an example of an author reading a book out loud, he reads this book out loud. And it's really great to help students look behind that curtain and see the people who write the stories. I think sometimes, you know, we only see the books and we don't really see the authors behind the books. And so to be able to see an author reading their own book is just a really special experience. And I think what's nice too is that in Hawaii, you know, if you're on the mainland, you can go to authors' talks and authors' readings, but here in Hawaii, we get that less frequently. So being able to do that on YouTube is a really nice option. Brightly also has a lot of playlists that are themed playlists. Which can be really nice if you're looking for a specific season or holiday or something like that. I know at my library, like at a particular holiday, say Valentine's Day, students want to read books that are about that holiday. And so to be able to go to this channel and find a playlist of books about Valentine's Day is really helpful. So for example, they have a whole list that's summer read alouds. They have one that's winter and fall and spring read alouds as well. So those playlists are a really good resource. This is the last K to say 5 read aloud site channel I want to focus on. This is one that's new to me, but I absolutely love it. So Ryan and Craig, it's called Storytime with Ryan and Craig, and Ryan and Craig are the two guys that you see in the pictures, and they are comedians. They're kind of like, you know, like you could imagine them as dads. I don't know if they're actually dads, but they're really funny. And they read the books, but they also provide commentary, and it's sort of interactive commentary with the books. And I watched several of their videos with my 2 boys, both the 6-year-old and the 10-year-old, and they thought that they were just really hilarious. And they have a partnership with Pete the Cat, and they have a whole, you know, channel of Pete the Cat books, or a whole playlist of Pete the Cat books. But these guys are really funny. And again, I think that sometimes, you know, our young students are taught by a lot, our profession and even library and elementary school, it's very female heavy. Like they have a lot of female teachers and stuff. And so to really showcase like men who are enthusiastic and skillful readers, I think is really great at showcasing the fact that reading is for everyone. So this is really, you know, a great way to kind of showcase that. Ryan and Craig also offer live performances occasionally as well. So the next read aloud couple slides are more geared towards upper elementary and maybe even middle school, probably like 6th, maybe 7th grade. So it is possible to find a lot of read alouds of chapter books, just kind of the voiceover of a lot of different chapter books. I singled out a few because these are actually read by the author, and they have a high level of production. So from Scholastic, Scholastic channel has Lauren Tarshish, who writes the I Survived series, and she's reading, there's videos of her reading the Titanic I Survived, as well as the Pompeii I Survived, and it's broken up by chapters. So if you have a reading block in your like 4th grade classroom where you read aloud to the kids, you could give your own voice a break and you could listen to Lauren Tarshish reading her I Survived series and one of these 2 books. Also, there is Tracy West reading The Land of the Spring Dragon, and that's probably a better fit for 3rd grade readers or even 2nd grade readers. But again, it's broken up into sections or chapters of the book, and you could read a little bit each day and really enjoy the author reading aloud her own chapter book. There's one more, and that is How to Train Your Dragon by Crested Cowell. And this is also her reading the whole book out loud, chapter by chapter. And this would be a great, you know, reading activity in your class for your upper elementary school classroom. So I'm going to move on to the next segment of channels. And this includes a few different channels that will help your students connect to books and reading through art and through music. So I'm not sure if you've ever used Art for Kids Hub, but I am a huge fan of this channel. And basically what it is there's a dad who is a great artist and has this sort of cartoony style. And he has, I think, 4 kids, and they're directed drawings. And he's very funny. He's very positive. He always says that the point is not to be perfect and make your drawings perfect, but to have fun drawing and to learn to be a better drawer every time you do it. And there's this great interaction between him and his kids, and sometimes he brings his wife into the videos. Now, you have to kind of pick and choose, because not all of his not all of his videos are book themed, but I have pulled some of his book themed videos out for you here. So there is a Harry Potter playlist, and they have a whole bunch of different characters from Harry Potter. So that would be really fun for middle school students, upper elementary school students, even some of your high school students. If they're big Harry Potter fans, it might be a fun activity for them to kind of connect to if you're doing some kind of club activity or something like that, or offering some kind of engaging activity for your high school students. They also offer a Dr. Seuss playlist. So I know a lot of us celebrate like Read Across America Day, Dr. Seuss's birthday in March. And so the Dr. Seuss playlist would be a really great time to do that. But anytime you're reading a book in class or in your library, a Dr. Seuss book, you can pull out that playlist and do one of the drawings. There's also some Greg Heffley and Manny and Roderick videos. If you're familiar with Diary of a Wimpy Kid, those are great videos to use with your upper elementary, middle school students. And then there's some Captain Underpants tutorial, and there's also a Piggy and Gerald, if you're familiar with those characters as well. So this can just help students really engage with the characters. Often they, love these characters and really identify with them, and they enjoy drawing them, and they always come out looking really beautiful. It makes them feel really accomplished, and then you can hang them up and display all their beautiful artwork. So the next one I want to share is more for early elementary and preschool. So it's Emily Arrow, and Emily Arrow writes and performs songs that are based on picture books. And she plays her ukulele, which of course is great for us here in Hawaii, where we're so familiar with that instrument, and where we really respect the ukulele and everything. And so she has all these really funny, cute songs that are based on picture books. So one we enjoy is the Hug Machine song. There's also No No Gnome, which is a really cute book about a garden gnome. She does some songs around The Dot by Peter Reynolds and Dot Day, if you're familiar with that. And she also does a lot of live videos as well. And so, students can kind of get that live experience with her. Oh, Laurel, I'm so glad you did her song for Dot Day. It's so fun. Yeah, she teaches hand motions for some of the songs as well, so it can really be interactive. And it just really brings the book to life and creates a feeling of joy and playfulness in the classroom. It could also be a project for older students, like if you're a music teacher or something like that, you could use her as an example and then have your students like write a song for a picture book using like the instrument that they play. The next one for music is Barefoot Books, and Barefoot Books is a group outside that comes out of England, and I think they also have a presence in the United States as well. Their books are geared towards kids ages from birth to age 8. And they have a real emphasis on diversity and traveling and sort of like appreciating global cultures. And so they have songs and videos that go along with a lot of the books that they have published. So you could read the book that they've published, and some of them are on, like I went and checked, and they have some of their books on Get Epic, if you're familiar with Get Epic. So you could read it on Get Epic, and then you could view and enjoy the song on YouTube as well that connects to that song. Okay, the next group of channels I want to share with you are Booktubers. Now, this is more geared towards the older readers. So the read alouds and those song and art is a little bit more elementary, even early elementary based. But Booktubers are really more for middle school, high school. There's a lot of great booktubers on high school, and then there's also adult booktubers. And basically, what a booktuber is an influencer, but like a reading influencer. So somebody who loves to read, is an avid reader, and creates a channel all about reading and the books that they read. So there are some young booktubers, and I have exposed my students in the elementary library to these younger booktubers, but they're a little bit more rare. One that I like is called My Book Stash, and this is a girl who is, I think she's upper elementary. She focuses on chapter books that are upper elementary and middle school level. Her videos are all voiceover, so you don't see her, you just listen to the voiceover. And I believe that she may be from India. She does have a bit of an accent. Her channel is very cute and it's current, which is kind of nice. And the reason I emphasize that is because the one on the left is called Snazzy Reads. And this one is not current. It hasn't been updated, I would say, for about a year. But I love Snazzy Reads. And his whole thing is that he dresses up in kind of a fun, funky outfit in order to do his videos. And he reviews chapter books, and he does videos like book hauls and books that he got for his birthday and that kind of video. And he's just really energetic and cute. And I think he is worth looking at, even though his channel isn't necessarily as current as you would hope. There are also a lot of booktubers for older readers. And this is actually a really good fit for, like, if you have a book club at the middle or high school level, then BookTube could really be geared towards them. And the title of this slide is actually a link to a school library journal article that profiles, just gives a short profile of like 5 to 8 booktubers that are really great people to go and check out. And the article's a little old. I think it's from 2020 maybe, or 2019, but a lot of them still have their channels. The two that I'm showing here, Sandy Reads a Lot, is teenager, and she has a lot of books that are like videos that are book reviews. She has different book hauls. She does books that she doesn't like. She'll sort of talk about books that she doesn't like. She'll talk about, all the books that she finished in a month, or she'll do like a year-end review of all of the books that she read. She also does playlists that are like specific, like she has books that feature Asian characters, for example, I believe is one of her playlists and stuff like that. The other booktuber that I have on this slide, her name their name is Adriana. And I wanted to show Adriana because Adriana is queer, trans, non-binary, Latinx. And I think what is nice about these booktubers is that again, they really highlight sort of the diversity in the reading community, and being able to be a part of communities that maybe you don't necessarily have access to in your personal life, and or being exposed to communities that maybe you're not exposed to in your personal life, and seeing the kinds of books that are being written about and for and by those communities. And Adriana also does kind of book reviews or book hauls, or different kinds of videos that will just really feature her reading life. There's also, I didn't show any here, but there are a lot of adult booktubers who make videos about kids books. So like librarians and teachers who love chapter books and teach, upper elementary or chapter book middle school kids, and they have booktubing channels about those chapter books, and that can be useful. I wouldn't necessarily recommend those to my students, but I might use them as a way to kind of stay up to date on what books are being published and what books I would want to make available to my students or recommend to my students. The next category of channels I would like to share are author interviews and readings. And as I stated earlier, like in Hawaii, we don't have a lot of access to authors as much as we would if we were in like an urban area and the mainland, where the authors do their book tours and they come through and you can go get your book signed and hear them do their readings. And I think it's really important for readers to understand that books don't appear from thin air. They're written by people. And I think, having exposure to those authors behind the books is really important. So YouTube is a really good tool to help, connect readers to the authors of the books that they read. So one channel to go to is called Book Trust. And Book Trust is a really interesting organization that was started by an individual in Colorado. And the focus is on increasing access to books for low-income students. And I like this channel because they feature a very diverse group of authors with very diverse groups of books that they write. So you can see, I think Jason Reynolds is one of the authors, and a lot of students will be familiar with Jason Reynolds. This is a great place. The videos have a high production value, so they're easy on the eyes, and the sound is good as well, which is always important. Another great source for author interviews and readings is Reading Rockets. They have a channel as well, and you can find a lot of really great author interviews on there. So here is Seymour Simon. So if you work in an elementary or middle school library, I'm sure, or classroom, I'm sure you've seen his nonfiction books on all different topics. They have a very similar format, and they always feature really beautiful photographs and great writing. And it's unusual, I think, to see a nonfiction author be focused on in these channels. And so I really wanted to point out that he was there and show that they have, diversity of authors. There's also, of course, award winners, as you can see here. So Reading Rockets is a great source for those author interviews. Going back to Scholastic, Scholastic also has a playlist of author interviews and authors reading their own books. So here you can see, here's Meg Cabot. There's also the author of Bone, which is very popular in my library. So this is another good source for author interviews and author read-alouds. Another one is Kirkus, and if you're a librarian, you're probably familiar with Kirkus. And what I like about Kirkus is also that they have a lot of authors that have written YA books. So for example, World War Z by Max Brooks is about like the zombie apocalypse, and it's written for kids 14 to 18, something like that, are teenage readers. And he's very engaging. His books are really popular, and so they have an interview with him. And so this is a great place to go if you teach middle high school and you want access to those author interviews. All right, so this is actually the last category, I believe. And so we're probably not going to go all the way to 11:45, but we'll see. The last category are book awards and public libraries. And there's really just two channels that I'm going to recommend here. The first one is the Texas Bluebonnet Award. And there's two categories of videos that you're going to see here. So this, if you're familiar with Hawaii's Nene Award, which is our statewide student choice book award, the Texas Bluebonnet Award is the equivalent. It is the Texas Student Choice Annual Book Award program. And they do a really good job with their YouTube channel. They have author interviews on here, but the other thing that's really valuable, I find, are book trailers. And we're all familiar with movie trailers, and we watch them to see if we want to find out if that movie is good for us or not. And there is a whole category of book trailers that you can use to engage your readers and expose them to all the different books that you have in your library or in your classroom, and help them decide if they are wanting to read that book or not. So this is a great source for book trailers. Now, the other group I want to focus on is Hawaii State Public Library. So this is a new channel, and I am so excited that they have this, specifically because I do the Nene Award program at my school. And for for several years, I've had to find book trailers from all over, the YouTube to try and sort of pull them together and introduce the books to my students. But now the great librarians at our public libraries are making all those trailers. And so they're very standardized, they're very high quality. And if you do Nene or want to participate in Nene, you can access all of the book trailers for our Nene nominees. There's also a playlist of story times for younger kids. And then there's also book trailers for our teens as well, the Teen Book Talks. So I'm just really excited that our public libraries have started this channel, and it's a really great channel and a great resource. So I really wanted to use this visual. I think sometimes people think of reading as a very solitary activity, something that you do by yourself. And, kids, especially older kids, in middle and high school, they don't want to be seen as a loner. They want to connect with other kids. They want to be a part of a crew, of a community. And I think by exposing students to these channels on YouTube helps to illustrate the fact that reading is really made up of a community of readers. There's the authors, there's the readers, there's all the readers and how they, talk about the books that they read and talk about their reading life. And that, yes, the actual act of reading can be very solitary, but that, when you're a reader, you really belong to this amazing, vibrant community of other people who love reading and love books. And so using YouTube to help introduce students and underscore that idea of like the reading community, I think is really important. So that actually brings me to the end of the presentation. So I do want to say thank you, and I welcome any questions you have at this time. And just if you want, you can follow me on Instagram. I do post a lot of what's happening in the library and books that I'm reading on my Instagram account. And then you can also check out my library website or email me if you have questions. But at this point, I would like to hear about any questions that you have, and also about any channels on YouTube or types of channels on YouTube that perhaps I did not include in the presentation. Okay, well, it sounds like we don't have any questions right now, and that's fine. I did provide the link to the slideshow in the documents for the conference, and I just wanted to let you know that there's clickable links in the slideshow. So if you want to go directly to YouTube to the specific channel or playlist that I highlighted, just go ahead and click on it in the slideshow, and it should take you right there. So thank you guys. And I hope that you have a great day and find some time to read. I know I'm going to make some time to read today.
Mahalo to Caitlin Ramirez and for everyone's participation. We hope you will find this session helpful and make some valuable connections. Please help us by completing the survey on the iTeach808 website. The survey will also be sent to the email address that you registered with. Please make sure to check your spam folder for any emails from iteach808hawaii@gmail.com. You'll be entered to win one of 20 $5 Starbucks gift cards if you complete the survey by February 4th. Thank you so much for being here today. Feel free to join any of the sessions coming up on Wednesday, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.